Are you dealing with low back pain or stiffness that just doesn't go away? I used to be completely unable to round my lower back, and that led to being stuck in a compressed position or an anterior pelvic tilt. What this does is it does not let your back rest at all, and it leads to tightness and pain over time. I would feel this in my lifts, I would feel this in my landings, and again, like I said, even just standing there, I would feel it very, very quickly. After learning how to actively round my lower back, it relieved a lot of the tension that I was feeling. I felt a lot stronger and safer in my lifts, and I felt a lot more resilient to any sort of things that wouldn't go perfectly. The thing is, we often hear to keep your back straight or keep it neutral in all the exercises we might be doing for rehab or performance training. The problem is that you should be able to move your back, move your spine through various ranges of motion with strength and power. The issue is if we never go into these positions, we're going to be very undertrained and weak in those positions. And then that leads to us expecting it to perform like the rest of our body, but then it can't keep up. The key to resilience then is going to be to progressively target and strengthen these weak areas, and that's what the point of today's video is. I'm Dr. Neil Toussaint with TrickStrong.com, and if you've suffered from any back stiffness, tight hamstrings, or an anterior pelvic tilt, this progression is going to help you out tons like it did for me. We're going to be going over not just passive stretches or mobility drills, but how to build real strength in your lower back through loaded spinal flexion, which you've been told to avoid, which is going to be a weak link in your movement. If you want to round your spine for any reason, it shouldn't be something that you fear, but it should be something that you own so that you can achieve any movement goal that you want to. Even if you're familiar with the Jefferson Curl, I think this is a foundational exercise that everybody should be trying just to make sure that your segmentation is clean. What we mean by segmentation is you should be able to move through each vertebrae of the spine, not just in chunks. So what deadlifts and hinging teaches us is how to lock our spine down and move through the hips. So what we're doing in this drill is the opposite, where we're curling down through each vertebrae of our spine. So if you take a tennis ball, lacrosse ball, or anything of this size, roughly, you're going to step and you're going to put your back against the wall. Notice how my feet are not right against it. It gives me a little bit of room so that I'm able to do this exercise. So you're going to put this ball right at the top, caught it, right at the top of your neck. You're going to cross your arms on your chest, and you're going to slowly curl down. It should feel like an ab activation, like you're crunching. So it's coming from the spine, again, not from the hips. So the ball should gradually roll down your back, and it's right in the center of my spine here. So the goal is feeling each vertebrae actually move. And you should definitely get to the point where you can feel it in your lower back before you get the ball again. And you saw how slow I went. I want you guys to take your time with this and go slow and controlled. One more rep. We're going to put it right at the base of our neck there, and then we're going to roll it slowly down, crunching, driving it from the abs, and trying to feel each segment of your spine curl down. Once it's at your lower back and you feel that you're starting to hinge from the hips because you have no more spinal motion, that's when it ends and you're going to reset. I would advise 3 to 5 reps of this to start, and you could do 1 to 2 sets daily, and you could even use this as prep work for the next progressions that we're going to be going over. Once you're comfortable with this drill and you can really segment and feel every vertebrae of your spine moving, now we can start to take the training wheels off and do it without the wall. I just filmed this section, but my mic was scratching against my beard, so hopefully this new placement helps. But this is going to be the Bodyweight Jefferson Curl, and the goal of this is going to be the same as the wall drill where we're trying to segment through the spine, but we are going to allow the hips to hinge as well, and that's going to get us more decompression through the lower back and more lengthening. The goal here is not just to touch your toes, it is going to be, again, to segment through that spine and really feel each vertebrae moving. So we're going to start nice and slow. We're going to start from the base of the neck, and we're rolling down, curling, engaging through our abs, and trying to be as gradual with that segmentation as we can.
And here's where we start to include the hips. And I am going this slow whenever I do a rep. The goal of this is to bring awareness to each vertebrae and to increase that time that we have under tension, which is just more stimulus, more input, more strength gains. So as we come up, what I like to think about is starting from the lower back, and I almost imagine a string pulling me. So I'm going to be stacking from the lower vertebrae to come back up to a standing position. So initiating with the lower back, trying to curl my pelvis under and face my belly button forward before my head even comes up. So tucking under. I'm stacking. Until I come back to a standing position. So that's a very long rep. That's typically the speed that I recommend. For the rest of this video, I might be doing slightly faster reps for the sake of time, but really that is what you want to achieve, especially when you start out, because when you start out, you're really going to want to be able to feel each segment moving. To progress this, if you have more mobility and you want to challenge that, you can have a step or stair. And this is going to be almost necessary when you're starting to use weights, because sometimes the weight can be so big that you are going to lose range of motion and you're going to hit the ground a lot sooner. So by using a step, you can solve that issue.
Once the bodyweight Jefferson curl feels smooth and natural, it's time to progress it in range and load. So we're going to start with bands, and don't sleep on bands. They can be very difficult and sometimes more difficult than the weight depending on your tension. The reason I like to start with bands is not only the amount of resistance, but it also gives you feedback, because there's variable tension in the band, meaning as you go lower, there's going to be less tension, and as you raise, it's going to be more tension into the band. What that's going to do is it's going to give you feedback into your back so you feel where that load is going. And again, you're trying to get that load to go across your back, not just in one area, but you want to feel it traveling up throughout, as we've been doing in the Jefferson curl. So we want to segment through that spine. So you're just going to step on the band. Hands are going to be nice and straight here. And I tend to start from a bottom position just because the band is already there. And then I raise from that position. So really initiating with my lower back and segmenting to come to a standing position. And then you can curl down, really trying to control that because the band is pulling you. So you're controlling that on the way down, trying to round. As you can see, I'm losing tension at the very bottom of the rep. So what I recommend is this variation. If you want to try it out, it helps improve your strength at that really low lengthened position in the lower back. It's a Zercher Jefferson curl. So Zercher is just putting it right in this pit of your elbows instead of holding it at the hand. And what that's going to do is it's going to have tension at the bottom of the rep. So you can just start here and go up to the point where you're not really able to move anymore. And you can just pulse back and forth. It's a really nice variation I just want to give you guys because it really helps decompress that lower back, keep tension on the lower back, and help strengthens it through a lengthened position. Lastly, we can use a weight such as a kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell, a plate, etc., whatever you can get your hands on. It's going to be a really good way to progressively load and strengthen this position. I like using a higher step or stair or a box because the weight is going to add height to the lift, so you don't want to lose that range of motion due to the weight. So use something like this as long as it's stable, obviously, and you're going to just do the same thing we've been doing before. You're going to get your feet very close to the edge so that you can go straight down as you normally would.
When I started off with this exercise, I was just using 15 pounds or bands, and now I'm up to using my 90-pound kettlebell, which is the heaviest one I have. And of course I could load it up even more with the barbell, but I find that doing very slow reps with the 90 and doing about 5 reps is a really good way for me to feel that lower back pump, and then I'll go into my deadlifts and other lifts in my workout. So you can do it like I do and just do 1 set to fatigue every time you train, or you can do it as an exercise you're really trying to progressively strengthen and do 2 to 3 sets 1 to 2 times per week. Either way, you're going to be making progressive gains throughout your career, and you're going to help strengthen this position so that you're able to do whatever you need to as a movement athlete. So just think about this as money in the bank. You're just putting some reps in. It doesn't have to be your main focus, but over time, this is really going to help improve your lower back strength, mobility, and it's going to help decompress it so that you're pain-free. One thing to watch out for with this lift is that if you're doing other exercises or activities where you're being explosive, not to progress this too quickly, because you might find that you're going to get your back pretty sore with this exercise. So what you want to do is add 1 set, see how you feel the next day, and progressively load with weight and the amount of volume that you're doing. Don't just go from 0 to 100 trying to solve this in a week. Really take your time to progressively load this, because as we said, this area is likely untrained or underdeveloped compared to the rest of your body and the weights that you're used to using. So taking this approach is going to be a really good idea.
It's a vicious cycle. So most people avoid rounding their spine, and avoiding that movement is exactly what's going to keep them weak. And if you're weak, you're more prone to injury, and then you're going to limit your movement even further. So this progression should help you reverse that cycle, build strength and resilience in your lower back, so you're not as fearful of movement, you have more confidence in your movement, and you're that much stronger and more prepared to do things safely and effectively. Personally, when I deadlift now, I feel a lot more confident because of course I'm going to try to keep that core tight and the spine relatively neutral, but now I have a little bit more cushion in order to be able to lift without worrying about any minute movement in my lower back throwing it out. And that's not just going to be for lifting, that's going to be for all types of movement, landings, etc. This should definitely help you out. Not only is this going to help with strength and mobility, but it's going to help with pain and stiffness as well. So if you're somebody like me who's had pain with standing, sitting for long periods of time, this should really help you get to the next level. Just make sure you're following this progression intelligently and not training past what your back is currently capable of. And if you need a full plan to rebuild your lower back strength, mobility, and move pain-free again, definitely check out the TrickStrong RX app. And I would advise you to check out the lower back rehab program. This program takes you from phase 1 to phase 3. So all the way from rehab to peak performance, gets you back to jumping, lifting, kicking, sprinting, and all the things that you love to do again. And if you guys weren't quite ready for some of the progressions in this video, then I would highly recommend you check this one where we go over mobility and awareness drills that should really help you out. These are exercises that I use with my clients before ever touching a weight. All right, guys, train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you soon for the next one.